thing, even in this church, under my leadership. And what is that thing? Grace. Grace. I think I've said it once. If God comes to me the way he comes, he came to Solomon and said, ask for one thing. Wisdom does not solve everything. Although wisdom was relevant, it was a major need of Solomon at that time. You know what I will ask for? Grace. There is nothing that grace does not cover. There is no ceasing that grace is not relevant. Because when we are talking about grace, I share with you at the beginning of the year about the two dimensions of it. When we are talking about grace, we are talking about the power of God. We are talking about the favor of God. There is nothing. I want you to take to heart what I'll be sharing this morning and the next 2 Sundays. There is something to life. Something always relevant. Something that will make you to navigate life gloriously. You know, when we are in difficult situations like the one we are, what will determine the extent to which you will be battered emotionally inside of you is the extent to which you know God. The extent to which you lean on God. It is God that always makes a difference when 2, 3 people are in the same situations. So this morning, I'll be talking about 7 manifestations of grace in difficult times. 7 manifestations of grace in difficult times. Linking it with our theme, and we say 7 manifestations of grace in wilderness seasons. There are 3 interconnected messages, and there are things that I have personally held on to for the past 38 years that I've given my life to Christ, that I've been born again. And I've been growing in them. And I've seen how they give me stability. And I want to encourage you. Grace gives stability. And it manifests in 7 ways during difficult times. It manifests 7 ways in the wilderness. And these 3-fold sermons, I'm using it to prepare us for the new quarter. Because it's going to be what we'll be using to pray, what we'll be holding on to, and not for the next quarter, even for next year, even for every day of your life. I want to lead us to explore together 7 manifestations of grace. Then 4 unshakable truths. 4 unshakable truths for difficult times, for wilderness seasons. If you are able to hold on to those truths, they are truths that we know, but we don't hold on to them. The extent to which you are able to hold on to them is the extent to which you become stable during difficult times. 4 unshakable truths for wilderness seasons, difficult seasons, and the last one, 3 anchors of truth about God for wilderness season. 3 anchors. Anchors of trust. Trust, not truth. The second one is truth. The third one is trust. 3 anchors of trust. I want to tell you, if you can hold on, if you can allow these things to sink inside of you, when difficult times come, you become stable. Difficult times is always a challenging time. Difficult times tests the level of our endurance, the level of our stability, the level of our emotional intelligence. Do we have anybody here you have never been afraid? Anybody? You have never been anxious. You have never been worried. It's part of our lives as human beings. But the extent to which you will be afraid, the extent to which you will be worried, the extent to which you will be fearful is the extent to which you hold on to these things that I'm talking about. As you grow in them, no matter how strong you are, there will be once in a while of fear, of anxiety. But all these things I'm talking about, they are things that I've practiced, and it has reduced my anxiety, my worry to a large extent. In fact, it has reduced it. My worry and anxiety comes when I'm face to face with danger. When the thing is so real, particularly danger that may have to do with health, that may have to do with death, that may have to do with physical attack. I have discovered that is an area that I become easily anxious. That, in fact, a few weeks ago, when I was meditating and preparing for these messages, and I was looking at it, that the way I apply this to every other situation, if I can apply it to that, I can easily overcome when I'm face to face with danger that has to do with health, that has to do with death, especially when one is not sure of where it will result into. Turn your Bibles with me, or just listen to it, because I'm reading it from an unfamiliar version. 2 Corinthians 12:9, the Voice translation. That's what we have here. My grace, and God is speaking to somebody. My grace is enough to cover and sustain you. My power is made perfect in weakness. Somebody and say that to that person. My grace is enough to cover and sustain you, saith the Lord. So you have become a prophet. Saith the Lord. I don't know somebody that is in a very terrible situation. Grace is enough. My to cover, to sustain.